Welcome everyone to the JRCERT Town Hall meeting. Thanks for joining us this morning. It might be this afternoon for some of you, I don't know. We hope that everyone is safe and healthy. Before we get started, I would like to make a few introductions because we have some board members that are with us. Chad.
Good morning or afternoon, everybody.
Chad is our secretary treasurer on the board of directors. Lisa.
Morning, everybody.
And Chad's from Las Vegas and Lisa's from California. I would like to introduce our staff. First of all, if you don't know who I am, I'm Leslie Winter. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the JRCERT. I am going to celebrate 27 years at the JRCERT in October. Tracy.
Good morning. I am Tracy Lang, and I'm the Executive Associate Director at the JRCERT, and I have been here for just over 10 years.
Thanks, Trace. Jennifer.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jennifer Michael. I'm the Assistant Director here, and I'm one of the new kids on the block. I've been here for about 3 years.
Okay, thanks, Jen. Trish.
Good morning. I'm Tricia Leggett, Director of Instructional Design and Technology. I've been here for about 4 years. Sorry about the echo.
Yeah, you'd think the Director of Instructional Design could get rid of that echo. Thanks, Trish. Brian.
Hi, Les. Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Leonard. I am an accreditation specialist with the JRCERT. I've been here since November of 2014. Good to see everyone.
Thanks, Brian. Jason.
Hi, everybody. Jason Mulcair from the JRCERT Accreditation Assistant. I've been with the JRC for just about 5.5 years now, and it's great to see a lot of familiar faces here today.
Thanks, Jason. Paul.
Hello, my name is Paul Lunn. I'm the Information Technology Administrator at the JRCERT. I've been with the JRC for 7.5 years now, and I'll be speaking with you shortly.
Tim.
Thanks, Les. Morning, everybody. Tim Ebram, the other accreditation assistant. Just had my 3-year anniversary a couple weeks ago. Good to see everybody.
Thanks, Tim. Tanner.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tanner Caldwell, IT support specialist here at the JRCERT. I've been here about a year. I think about a week ago, I've been here about a year. So I'm sure I've spoken to a lot of you over the past of this year with various help desk requests, and it's good to be here.
Thanks, Tanner. So we have, I'm going to bring it back to Tracy.
Thanks, Les. We do have a few guidelines for you this morning. So first off, as Les said, we'd like to welcome you to our town hall meeting, and we look forward to sharing updates from our organization.
Thanks, Trace. All right. So we've had quite the busy year at the JRCERT. We've gotten a new portal, which Paul is going to show you in a little bit. And we do have some bugs in it, and we're trying to work those bugs out. So we ask you just to be patient. And if you have any user concerns, to email either Paul or Tanner, and they'll take care of you. We've also have a new website. If you haven't visited, you need to do that. It looks really awesome. Tanner is going to show you some of the features of the website when I'm done here. Well, we remain recognized by the United States Department of Education as the only accreditor recognized to accredit programs in the radiological sciences. We are pleased to tell you that we recently received our 5-year recognition from the Department of Education. And it's a pretty daunting task. And I know how you folks feel when you submit a self-study, because we basically do the same thing for the department, but we have to submit a petition to the Department of Education, and they assign us a staff member, and that staff member observes a board of directors meeting and a site visit, reviews our petition, and we submit any additional information if the department needs it. Then the staff recommendation goes to NASICI. That's the National Advisory Committee on Institutional Quality and Integrity. It's a fairly prominent committee. It's an 18-member board. 6 of those members are selected by the Secretary of Education. 6 of those members are selected by the Speaker of the House, and 6 members selected by the Senate. They get our petition, and then we have to go in front of this committee to support our petition. And you're up there for about an hour while they're asking you questions about the organization. So we were really pleased to have our 5-year recognition process again. The whole process is about an 18 to 24 month process. So, and we also remain recognized by CHIA, that's the Council for Higher Education Accreditation. Our numbers are accredited program numbers. Currently, we have 711 programs. 608 are radiography, 72 are radiation therapy, 19 are magnetic resonance, and 15 are medical dosimetrists. The most recent 5-year average credentialing examination rates between 88 and 97%. And for radiography, it's around 91%. That's a 5-year average. And then the 5-year average job placement rate for our programs is 98%. So it's this time there's not problems getting jobs. So July's right around the corner. And what does that mean? Annual reports. So you should be receiving your annual report probably right after the 4th of July. They're going to be due mid-October. If you graduate a class after October, your annual report will be due in January. Also in the annual reports, there is a link embedded, and it's going to ask you to complete our needs assessment survey. Please do so. It's going to ask you questions about what you'd like to see for professional development, module development, that type of thing. So it's important that you fill it out for us. Also, you received a survey in the beginning of May where it talked about the portal, but in that broadcast email, there was a link to a survey asking if you are interested in another JRCRT conference. If you've not filled that out, please do so. Your input's really important to us. So during COVID, we made some exceptions and some policies. The first policy that I'd like to talk to you about is the hybrid site visit policy. So because we had travel restrictions, we developed a hybrid site visit. So what happens is we try to get one of the site visitors on campus and the other does all of the interviews hybrid or virtual. We did a handful of hybrid site visits. They worked out really well, and it assured that we were still maintaining a efficient and timely accreditation process. So we're going to keep the hybrids if there's another pandemic or any type of natural disaster where we'd have to utilize hybrid site visits. Also during COVID, we allowed you to offer distance education without approval from the distance education without approval, because it is a substantive change. That really came from the United States Department of Education. We are now eliminating that waiver. So if you want to continue offering distance education, it must be approved by the JRCERT. A substantive change for distance ed is transmitting more 4 or more professional courses. So if you want to continue doing that, you need to get it to the JRCERT as a substantive change, and it needs to have board approval prior to implementation. Any substantive change needs to be submitted to the JRCERT and must be approved prior to implementation. You can find a list of what is a substantive change on our website in our policies. It's 11.400, or you can always reach out to one of the staff members and they will review your possible change and identify if it is truly a substantive change. We also recently developed a policy for medical dosimetry, and this allows medical dosimetry programs to offer, if they're offering 50% or more of their clinical distance ed. So we've approved that policy. Finally, the United States Department of Education has revised some of the regulations. A significant revision from them was changing the compliance timeframe. So when our board of directors deems you out of compliance, typically you have 24 months to document compliance. The United States Department of Education has expanded that to 36 months. Obviously, for you to have that entire 36 months is a board decision at the time they take action. The newsletter, the Pulse newsletter has a lot of great articles in there. They are archived on our website. If you ever want to go back and look at them, they're under program directors and faculty tab. Our Pulse newsletter, our peer-to-peer newsletter is also on the web, and that's the site visitor newsletter. We continue to develop modules for the learning management system. We also we're conducting a JRCERT site visit and introduction to JRCERT policies and procedures. We continue to offer our workshops via webinars, but we're also starting to get back in person. We'll be at AIRS and ASRT, and we're offering a workshop at AIRS. We're also seeking an accreditation specialist. I think working for the JRCERT is a great place to work. I'm sure my staff would agree. Everybody's gonna nod their head. Good. Okay. If you're interested, I need 3 letters of reference, recommendation, and your curriculum vitae and a salary history. But you must be at least 150 miles from Chicago. That's because you're still going into Chicago, into the office, and I don't pay anyone to get to the office. So you need to find a way to get into the office. So 150 miles within Chicago. Also, our chair of the board, Julie Lastly, who's our radiation therapist, will be going off the board in April 2023. She is also nominated by the ASRT, and we've put a call out for a radiation therapist from the ASRT. If you're interested, you can go on the ASRT website and find the qualifications. You know, being on the board is a tremendous amount of work. We meet monthly to take accreditation actions, and we typically take anywhere between 25 to 30 accreditation actions monthly. The board comes to town twice a year. They're also assigned to committees and task forces. I think the board is a lot of work being a board member, but I think it's also very rewarding. So if you're interested and you want to have a conversation with me, I'd be more than happy to. The JRCERT continues to seek site visitors. We're in need of site visitors, specifically those who are registered in radiation therapy, magnetic resonance, and medical dosimetry. And if you identify yourself as a practitioner is an individual who provides some type of healthcare delivery for 8 hours a week. So those are the people that we're seeking. If you're interested, you can go on our web. There's an application there, or you can reach out to Tracy if you have any questions or want additional information. As I said earlier, the JRCERT launched its website and portal recently. There are portal helps on the website if you need portal help, and you're always more than welcome to email Paul or Tanner for assistance with the portal. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Tanner, our IT support specialist, and he's going to show you some the website.
Thank you, Les, and good morning or afternoon, everybody. As Les said, my name is Tanner Caldwell. I'm the IT support specialist at the JRCERT. As she also mentioned, we recently redesigned and launched our new website, which we're pretty excited about. So we've listened to all your feedback, and I'd like to show you a couple of the exciting new features we've included that will make it much easier to navigate and find the information that you're looking for. So let's get started. Okay. So when you first access the website on our homepage, you'll notice that most of the most important links are right here as soon as you access it. So if you look at the very top, you'll notice that we added a search bar where you can search by keyword. And when you search, it will show you a list of pages where those keywords were found. On the Pay Online tab, if you click on that, it will take you to a page where you can pay all of your invoices, all of your annual fees, and other such payments. Under the LMS login tab, you can log into the learning management system where you can take accreditation related courses, some non-accreditation related courses, and even earn some CE credits. Under the AMS Portal login tab, you can log into the new AMS portal, which Paul will cover in more detail after I'm finished. You can complete all of your accreditation work, whether you're a program director, a site visitor, or a board member. Under our name here, you'll notice two prominent buttons. One is About Us, so you can learn all you ever wanted to know about the JRCERT. And the other one is the Find a Program tab, which in the previous website was much harder to find. So we put it right here for you. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. The first thing you might notice is our map of all the states in Puerto Rico. If you click on any of these states, it will sort out all of the programs that are from that state. You can also sort by city and zip code. You can type the program name and it will find the exact name if that's what you're looking for. You can sort by accreditation status, modality, award type, and alternative learning options. So once you have found the program you're looking for, all you have to do is click on the program name and it will take you to the program details page where you can see the location of the program, program director information, next scheduled site visit, program effectiveness data for the most recent annual report, all of the terminal awards offered, and all recognized approved clinical settings in their location. You can also view the program's most current award letter. So at any time, you can click the JRCERT logo on the top left of the screen to take you back to the home page. So if you scroll down, you'll see the highlights section. Tim, one of our accreditation assistants, updates this regularly with new information that's very useful. If we continue scrolling down, you'll see our news and events section. On the left is news, and on the right are our events. These two are the next upcoming events that we have to offer. And if you click on the View All Upcoming Events button, you can view all events. You'll notice there's a brief description of the event, as well as ticket prices and how many tickets are left and when the event is. If you click on one of these events, it'll take you to a page that gives you all the information you need for the event, as well as where you can purchase tickets. So back to the home page, we'll scroll down even further. On the right side, you'll see a button that will allow you to go to a page where you can learn how to report allegations or file complaints. If we scroll down further, you can see all the benefits of JRCERT accreditation, and you can view our new accreditation process infographic. So if you go here, you can pick dynamically where you are with your program. Let's say you're completing a continuing accreditation application. It'll take you to that step and you can walk through and answer questions that are applicable to where your program is at in the process. Back to the home page. In the site visitor section, you can learn how to become a site visitor and download the application to be turned in. You can also review some testimonials from some of our site visitors. You can view our CHIA and USDE recognition. And on the bottom of every page will be our footer, where you can see contact information, our social media links, and a few of our policies. So if we go to the top, we can go over a few of these drop downs. If you click on any of these links directly, or if you click on the first item in each list, it will take you to what we call a landing page, where you will see these blocks that will take you to other pages that fall under each category. On these pages, you'll find unique videos and other infographics that give you lots of good information. Also under the accreditation tab are the JRCERT standards, JRCERT policies, our accreditation decisions, and also third-party comments. Under the students section, students can find a program, the benefits of accreditation, learn information about program effectiveness data and how it relates to accreditation. They can learn how to report allegations and other useful information. Under the program director and faculty tab, there's lots of good resources for you. There are program forms. If you click on any of these drop downs, you can view all the forms and all the templates that you'll ever need. If you click on the program resources tab, you can view other program resources such as site visit preparation checklists, how to calculate program effectiveness data, and tips and tricks in preparing your self-study, among others. There's a link LMS tab here, which you can click on. You can learn all about the learning management system, and you can even view a orientation video. If you click on the portal assistance tab, which Leslie mentioned, I believe, you can view a list of YouTube videos that Jason, our other accreditation assistant, has created that will walk you through step-by-step processes of completing certain items in the AMS portal. Under the site visitors tab, you can learn how to become a site visitor. There are also all your forms and resources and site visitor policies. If you click on what we like to call the hamburger, it'll have a drop down where you can view contact information, news, and calendar. Information about the JRCERT, including directories for the board of director and staff, where you can also read bios. Hey, Chad. You can also view the JRCERT newsletters here. Here's the Pulse, and here's the peer-to-peer newsletter. If we click on that, this is an example of one of our many flip books that we have implemented into the website. You can click on various tabs to view older issues of the newsletter. And once you get to a page you want, you can just click and drag and flip pages like you would a normal book. And you can download these, you can print these, you can email them, you can do whatever you want. And last, we have our FAQ page. If you have a question and you don't want to ask any of our staff members, you can come to this page and it's probably been asked and you probably find the answer right here. And I think that about covers it. This has been a brief overview of the new website, and I hope that you'll take some time to explore it. We're always refining the website to make it more user-friendly, and we welcome any recommendations that you may have. And thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tanner. The website looks really awesome. And you probably noticed there's a lot of data about your programs on the website. You know, there's the award letter and your program effectiveness data. All of that is required by the United States Department of Education. And even if you go back to standard 1.1, where it lists everything that needs to be on your website, that's actually more from CHIA, Council for Higher Education Accreditation, and their role of us to be more transparent. So that's why you see all that. Okay, Paul's going to take us through the portal. Paul?
Thank you, Leslie. As most of you know, we have spent the last year developing a new accreditation management system portal. Thank you to all of you for your feedback. We've tried to incorporate as much of your suggestions into the new portal as possible. So I'm going to walk you through some of the new changes to the portal. And as Tanner said, you can click on the link to AMS Portal login on our website that will take you to this login page. First of all, the usernames have changed and they are now your email address. So the previous username that you used in the old portal will not work. You'll need to use your email address. But the first time you come to the portal, you'll need to click on Forgot Your Password. This will take you to another page that instructs you on how to change your password. Once you do change your password, come back to the login screen, enter your email address and your new password that you just changed, and click Sign In. When you click on Sign In, you will be sent to what we call the landing page. This is the information about your program. And some of the new features that we've introduced, in addition to signing out here, you can click on Sign Out to log out there, or just close the tab on your browser. If you serve in multiple roles for the JRCERT, Program Director, Board Member, Site Visitor, you can click on this link and you will go to a different landing page based on the type of role that you select. Right now, we're looking at the Program Director information. Some of you are Program Directors at multiple modalities. You can click on the drop-down arrow next to that and choose the program or the modality that you want to look at. In this case, today we'll look at the medical dosimetry program. All of this information that you see here is in relation to this modality being viewed. So over on the left, one of the new features that we've added is view program information. On the last portal, you had to click to download a report that you could look at. Now we've built a screen where you can click on here and it will show you all the information about your program. If you click continue here, it will progress to the program officials associated with your program, including your CEO, dean, clinical coordinator, faculty. And at the very bottom, you'll see clinical preceptors. And I want to caution everyone, this is not where you see most of your clinical preceptors. These are only preceptors that are program employed. The rest of your clinical preceptors will be located under the clinical setting change request, which we will show you in just a moment. You can print the report and download it, so you have a PDF copy. If you'd like to send that in an email to someone else or have it on record on paper, you can do that as well. Back on the landing page, when you see program official change request, this is similar to the previous portal where you will be able to go in and change the CEO, dean, clinical coordinator. And there will be tabs for each one of these you can go to. Again, clinical preceptor here, these are referring to clinical preceptors that are employed by the program. If we progress on to manage clinical settings, this is the place where you will see most of your preceptors under clinical settings change request. It'll be a list of your clinical settings. The status will tell you whether or not you will be able to edit the clinic. If it's an approved clinic, you can go in and edit it. If the status of the clinical setting says pending complete, that means that you have submitted it for review by JRCERT staff, and you will not be able to go into that setting until the review is complete. If it says pending, that means that you're working on entering a new setting and it's not yet submitted to the JRCERT for review and approval. If you click on the down arrow next to it and go into the edit button, there are 3 screens you will see. One is the general tab, which shows you general information about the clinical setting. And if you hit save and continue, the next screen will show you the documents that are required to be uploaded, namely your affiliation agreement and accreditation documentation. And thirdly, if you hit save and continue, you will finally advance to personnel. And this is where you will see your department administrator, as well as any clinical preceptors at that clinical setting. On the previous 2 screens, if there are any required fields that are missing data, in other words, anything with a little red asterisk If it's missing information, it will not let you pass that screen when you click Save and Continue. You must enter the required missing data. The same is also true of the documents. If there are documents missing there, you must upload the documents in order to proceed past that screen. You can also click on the clinical settings summary, and that will show you a list of your clinical settings, and you can also print the report, which will show all the preceptors at those settings. Then if we progress over to the next column on the landing page, you'll see application information. This is where you will find things like initial accreditation application, continuing application, additional information requests if that is required, and a response to report of findings when that is posted. Let's go into the continuing accreditation application. Some of you are currently working in your self-study, and you'll come in here and you'll notice a couple of tabs, summary and self-study. Here's a list of your standards. And if you click into that standard, the next screen you'll see is a list of the objectives related to that standard. And then finally, if you go into the objective you want to work on, it'll give you explanations about that objective. And then here's something new, a new feature in the narrative boxes. Many of you asked, can we format our data? So we've added a new simple editor here so you can format your data in a little more readable and understandable format for your narrative response. We've also included a character count. Since the narrative boxes have a 3,000 maximum character limit, it will keep track of the characters that you've entered thus far. And when you hit 3,000, it will stop. If your narratives are getting long, they may need to be shortened a little in order to fit within the narrative character limit. Also, if you see a red asterisk by supporting documentation, that means this objective requires that you upload supporting documentation, and you do that by clicking on Add Files and then locating the document on your computer and choosing that, and it will then appear in a table at the bottom. Once you finish with all of the standards and on the objectives, you can then click on Save and Continue to get to the summary page. And when you hit Submit, it will do error checking to see if all of your standards response status have been changed to complete, and all of your objective statuses have been changed to final. So you may see some error messages down here that requires you to change those response statuses of the objectives to final and the objective or the standard response to complete. Once you hit Submit, the application will then disappear off of your screen, and you will receive an email with a copy of your submission sent to you in an email as an attachment. The additional information and response to report of findings are very similar in that you will click on drop-down arrows to get to objectives and enter the required information. The last column on the portal is the accreditation section. This is where you can view your accreditation history with your most recent award listed at the top and going backward in time. Also, if you have anything due, you'll notice all of these have due dates listed here. That's for your information on when those items are due to the JRCERT. Annual reports, as Leslie mentioned a little earlier, will be sent out in July soon. And in your annual report, there are 3 pages, program effectiveness data, and the annual report questions, where you'll need to go into the questions and edit the question and then enter your response. Once all the questions are answered, you can click Save and Continue one more time in the annual report. It'll take you to the summary page where you can click Submit. If there are any missing questions or PED information is missing, it will display an error, and you can go to that page to enter that information. Once you do hit Submit, again, like the application, the annual report will then disappear off of your screen, and you will receive a an email saying that your submittal to the JRCERT was successful. For a quick peek at site visitors, we'll change our role to site visitor. And we always welcome new site visitors. As Leslie said, we would love to have you as a site visitor. Is both rewarding and informative as you work with the JRCERT at different programs. If I click into site visits here, any site visits that you are associated will appear here and you can go into the site visit. And here's the RSVTF that you can go into, and all the documents that are related to the site visit that you'll need to review before going to the site visit. If we open up the RSVTF, it looks very similar to a self-study that we looked at a little bit earlier, where it has a list of standards. And if you click into that standard, it will then give you a list of objectives for that standard. And if you go into the objective, you will then, as a site visitor, determine whether the objective has been met or not, and key in your rationale for your decision, and change your RSVTF status for this objective to complete or final. Finally, if you are a board member, and I think the board members will be using this new portal for the first time this month. When you go to the board member section role, you can click on the board meeting and you will see a list of agenda items that will be up for board action. And clicking into one of those programs will show the related documents that need to be reviewed for that agenda item. The last thing I want to remind you about is the portal assistance videos. They're both informative and entertaining. Jason has done an excellent job in producing these portal assistance videos. So if you'd like to find out how to submit a self-study or how to enter a new clinical setting or add a preceptor to an existing clinical setting, go to our website, look at the portal instructional videos, and they should be a good help to you in navigating this new portal. Thank you for your time and happy portal hunting.
Thanks, Paul. And our board of directors don't look all that dressed up at our meetings. No one wears ties or dresses or anything. It's pretty casual, so. All right, Trace.
I have a few portal questions, if you don't mind, if we'll do those real quick, since Paul just finished and everyone's kind of thinking in that direction. Perfect. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Les. Paul, is there a button that program faculty can click when they're working on updating their documents or their narratives, but they aren't quite finished?
Is there a button they can click on to update their documents?
Like a save or a pending, or do they have to do everything in one sitting
No,
or
that's,
start over again the next time?
Yeah.
I think is where the question is asking.
yeah, thank you for the question. It's a good question. Especially things like the self-study. We know that you're going to be working on this over a period of time, and you can do one objective at a time. You can enter some narrative and save that. You can upload documents and then log out. And when you come back in, all of that data that you entered will still be there as you continue to work on it over time.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul. And the next one, this has to do more with the annual report. When they submit the annual report, will they get a PDF of the report with the email?
Thank you for the question. I know that you do get an email that the submission was correctly submitted. I'm not sure if there is an email attachment of the annual report. I can check into that.
Thanks, Paul. Les, I think these next few are on to you. You were talking about the extensions for distance education that are coming to an end. Is face-to-face Zoom considered distance education?
Yes, it is considered distance education. We define distance education as a separation of faculty and the student. So if you're doing Zoom, it's distance education and it needs to be approved. I don't know if I said for more professional courses. is the trigger for you to submit a substantive change.
Perfect. Thank you. That answers the next questions. The next two questions were, how many courses do we consider distance education? And do we consider general education courses? So
No, we do not consider gen ed, just the professional component.
wonderful. Thank you, Les. This program is having trouble finding faculty that meet the requirements of the program director and clinical coordinator positions. Are there any exceptions to these minimum requirements?
Thanks, Trace. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of these lately. There's been a lot of retirement. So there's 3 categories that we use in the office. And the first one is temporary program faculty. And the temporary individual is an individual that would not meet the requirements as identified in the standards. So they're temporary, such as if you were trying to find a program director and you can't, and you identify a nurse to go in as the program director. Temporary is good for 6 months while the institution does a search. The next one is acting. An acting individual can typically meet the qualifications within 1 year to 2 years. We will identify you as an acting program director or clinical coordinator for a period of 2 years if you don't have the required degree, but you're enrolled in a program. You have 2 years to get that degree requirement. And then the last one is interim. Interim would be like if someone took a leave of absence and you would step in. Interim is good for a year, and an interim position, you're fully qualified to take on that role. So those are the 3 categories that we use.
Wonderful. Thanks, Les. Tanner showed us the website, and I saw the area with complaints and allegations of non-compliance. How does the JRCERT handle this?
Thanks, Trey. So obviously we take complaints against our accredited programs very seriously, but there's a process that the individual must follow before we'll investigate. We do not advocate on behalf of any individual. We just are trying to determine if your program is compliant with the standards. So the first thing you need to happen is that if you click on where it says on the website allegations, there's a form that comes up, and the individual must fill out that form and identify the standards or objectives of non-compliance. They must submit that form along with documentation that they've gone through the program's due process procedure to the end, and they have to provide us documentation of the outcome of each step of that due process procedure before we even investigate the complaint. Once we receive all that information, we take a look at it and determine if it's warrants an investigation. If it does warrant an investigation, we typically have 2 options. We write the program and ask for additional information in relation to the areas of non-compliance, or we perform an unannounced site visit. And then the response to the unannounced site visit goes to the board of directors for an accreditation action. That's it.
Thanks, Les. There is a question in relation to the topic we just covered, allegations.
Okay.
Do the standards include professionalism from the program director? And do students and or faculty report allegations against the program? And if so, how would that affect the program and the students?
The first one, I would suspect that would professionalism, high integrity would fall under standard 1. As far as, give me the second part again, Trey, sorry.
I was asking who can report the allegations.
Okay.
It seems like it was student or faculty can report it. And then how would it affect the program?
So we get allegations from a wide variety of people. We get students submitting complaints. We've had program directors submitting complaints against their own program. So it can come from anyone. We've had parents submit a complaint. As far as how it affects your program, the outcome, if you don't rectify the citations, the compliance timeframe starts. So depending on what those areas of non-compliance are, you have anywhere from 24 to 36 months to rectify them. If they don't get rectified by the end of the compliance timeframe, the board could withdraw accreditation or will withdraw accreditation.
Great, thanks, Les. What process should my program take for adding a clinical setting that is already recognized as a clinical setting for another recognized program? Thanks,
Trace. So the key here is that both programs are recognized by the JRCERT or accredited by the JRCERT. If they're not, that can be a little problematic, because what we do in the office is assure that you have sufficient resources to support both programs, both physical and human resources. We really suggest that you reach out to that program coming in and try to set up a meeting where you can talk about the number of students being assigned, the equipment, the facilities that are available to them, when they're going to be assigned, that type of thing. We do send out an email once we get the recognition of the clinical setting in the office. We do send you an email notifying you that another program is coming in. Unfortunately, we have no control on how many programs a clinical site affiliates with, because that's really their prerogative.
Thanks, Les. Are programs able to keep records for the clinical preceptors and then update them in the portal?
No. So once, thanks, Trace. Once the clinical preceptors are uploaded into the portal, any updates to their degree or registry, you need to keep on site at your program. And site visitors will review it on site at the time of your site visit.
Great, thanks, Les. Overall, we've received several questions in relation to specific items in our standards. For example, we've received questions on changing the credentialing examination pass rate timeframe from 6 months to 1 year, or changing the one-to-one student to clinical staff ratio. Is this something that the JRCERT could help us with right now?
So let me explain how a standards revision works. So every 10 years, we revise the standards. That process takes 50 months, almost 5 years. So we start the revision 5 years out. We have policy that dictates how we do the standard revision. And again, that's by the Department of Education. So we start the revision and we have to make sure that we communicate revisions to all of our constituents. So we take the show on the road, we go to all the professional meetings and talk about the standards revision. One criteria that we had significant conversation about is the credentialing examination pass rate. Should we change the benchmark? Should the length of time be a year, or should it be 6 months? What we heard from all of you folks is that you wanted us to keep it the same. So it's going to remain the same until 2026. Same thing with the clinical to staff ratio. In 5 years in 2020, right? No, 2026. Trace, help me out. No, 2020, anyways.
21, so yeah, in 2026, we'll be sending out the surveys again.
Yeah, so in 2026, you're going to be hearing from us about the standards revision. At that time, we suggest and encourage you to give us your feedback. And if that is one of your items that you would like to see changed, make sure that you give that information to the office when we put a call out.
Thanks, Les. I guess that one might be a little bit related to this question. Last year at the town hall, we started talking about issues with the credentialing exam pass rate in relation to the pandemic. So will the JRCERT be making any type of exceptions for that?
As of now, no, we don't know what that data looks like yet until it's submitted. So once we start getting that data in from the annual reports and start analyzing, we may offer some exemptions to that. I really doubt it, though. We will probably inform you as we get closer to those annual reports coming into the office.
Thanks, Les. That seems to be the majority of the questions that we've received. We did receive a few at the earlier meeting, and they were asking with what will the JRCERT stance be in relation to the new ACR requirements? And so the majority of students and employees are receiving doses that are lower than what's considered for occupational dose. So will we require the dosimeter, or will we remove that requirement?
Well, thanks, Tracy. We'll still require dosimeters. It's in the standards. And again, it's something that we could probably look at in 2026, beginning in 2026. One thing about a standards revision too, folks, is if we open the standards now to change something, we have to go through that whole process of getting your input, and getting it back to the standards committee, then getting your input again. So that's why we're hesitant to open the standards document.
Thanks, Les. Since we are on this topic, what is the JRCERT stance on shielding patients?
Well, we encourage, the students to still shield patients as long as it's not interfering with the radiographic anatomy. So I know it's in some of your settings make it difficult because they're saying not to shield, but we still encourage shielding.
So Les, the position, do I have to move to Chicago if I'd like to apply to the JRCERT?
You don't have to move to Chicago, but you're going to have to periodically come into the office. And that's why we said you have to be within 150 miles, because everybody's got to get to the office, and we're not going to pay for your expenses if you're across country to come to the office. It's a great place to work.
Lots of questions if there's gas funding, and I think Les covered that. We have to buy our own train tickets, so.
Correct.
You'll have to buy your own gas, and right now that's pretty steep.
Yeah, it is.
Those are the majority of the questions that I've seen right now. Any of the other ones that I've not answered or mentioned them, I've put them in a document, and we're going to be sending emails out directly to you. Okay, so in relation to the gas price increase, it may affect students traveling to clinical settings. Can we increase clinical hours and decrease the amount of days that students have to go to clinical?
Yes, you can. I think obviously it needs to be equitable to all students, and it needs to be still educationally valid. I'd be careful on how long the length of the assignments are. And, if they're doing 12-hour days, what do they have to do the next day? Are they back at a didactic course at 7 a.m? So I think there's some consideration for that. It also has to be volunteer.
And do we have any updates on California's Earn and Learn?
Earn and Learn. So I don't know if all you are familiar with Earn and Learn. So California has passed a bill that allows students to get paid for clinical. It's an apprenticeship program. The JRCERT does not support it. We don't support students getting paid for clinical just because of all the issues that go along with pay, such as liability and taking place qualified staff and just many others. So California has been pretty quiet right now. We did everything in our power to get that bill halted and failed. They've been pretty quiet. I met about it's probably been about 3 months now, with the interagency apprenticeship group. These are the people that are going to implement the apprentice programs. Their curriculum is pretty poor. It's just really disheartening to see something like that. And they wanted me to get the California programs together so they could speak to them, to tell them how wonderful this apprenticeship program is. And I refused to do that. We refused to do that. So California at this point has been pretty quiet, knock on wood. This whole apprenticeship thing brings us back about 50 years. So it's on the job training is what it is. Currently, we have a team that came out of our strategic planning that is monitoring legislation. We've had some discussions with the ASRT too regarding this. So hopefully we can keep, aware of it if this pops its head up somewhere else in other states.
So let's 2 more things with Earn and Learn, please. One is thank you for your continued support throughout this whole process. And then the other one is, will we still accredit programs in California that allow this?
Thanks, Trace, and thanks for whoever said that. Yeah, we're going to continue to accredit. The RHB that's the health branch out in California, isn't mandating it. That doesn't mean they can't in the future mandate it, but we're going to continue to accredit programs as long as they don't participate in Earn and Learn. The only way you can, consistent with our policies, that you can pay students is through a stipends or a grant or a scholarship. Those are the 3 that we support. We don't support hourly wages associated with clinical hours.
Thanks, Les. Do not see any other questions at this point, and it looks like we're pretty close to time. If you had questions and they were not answered, or if you sent them in chat, please give us about a day or so to catch up on to those. I'll be distributing those throughout professional staff so we can get back with you to make sure that you feel comfortable with any items and they weren't glossed over. Any issues specific to the portal or to the website, we definitely encourage you to contact either Paul or Tanner, because if you email us, we'll just send that to them, which if you're more comfortable with that, just to be sure. And I'm sure Les said they have lots and lots of emails. So if you've emailed them in this past week and they haven't got back to you, you've not been forgotten.
Thanks, Trace. Well said. Yeah, just please be patient as we work our way through the bugs in the portal. And as always, if you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to call the office. We're there to help. We thank you for your support of program accreditation. And for all you dads out there, happy Father's Day. Thanks for joining us.